everybody. Welcome back to our Super Saturday special of the Daily Racing Form Weekend Preview. I've been joined by a special guest, David Aragona, who I know you guys have seen on here before with Gino, but this is fun because, David, this is the first time you and I have done one of these segments together, but you do all kind of awesome content for DRF, including our Derby Watch. So would you say you're fully infected with Derby fever at this point in the season?
Definitely getting there. Things are really heating up on the Derby Trail, especially this weekend, where we're probably going to figure out the final few horses that qualify for the race. And being based in New York, I'm really looking forward to the race that we're going to talk about, the Grade 2 Wood Memorial.
Yeah, this weekend, there's 4 races out of the last 5 of the year to give points in. So we're going to dive right into the Wood, like you said, starting with the one horse, Rodriguez, who has spent his career on the West Coast battling the likes of Journalism, Barnes, Citizen Bull, Matticat Road, and now he's going to head over and face the East Coast contingent, likely needing to get probably third place in this field to secure his spot in the Derby. He has tactical speed, which has kind of been the best tactic for this colt so far, but with drawing the rail, it's kind of going to be interesting to see what tactic Bob Baffert and Mike Smith approach this race with. They are taking the blinkers off for the first time. What do you think about him?
Yeah, going out for that powerful Bob Baffert stable, a name that's very familiar on this road to the Kentucky Derby. And he has not been one of the more highly regarded horses in the Baffert barn. He's actually been beaten by other more highly regarded Baffert horses in both his last 2 prep races. But taking those blinkers off, coming to the Wood Memorial, feels like they're trying to get some points for this horse who has been training very well in the morning coming into this race. So I think there are expectations. I just worry a little bit, like you said, about the trip from that inside post position.
It's a tough spot to be in. The 2, Captain Cook. This horse is kind of a fun but also painful fact for me. I actually tried to purchase this horse at auction in November. I run a small racing syndicate, Haphazard Racing, and he was on my final shortlist at the sale and ended up going well over my budget at $410,000. But worth it, though, now being on the Derby Trail with 2 consecutive wins for Rick Dutrow, including a comfortable 2 1/4 length win in the Withers last time out. He's sitting right behind Rodriguez on the Derby points race. I think a stalking trip similar to his last stakes win may be enough to get him in the Derby.
Yeah, he's the local hope from New York, based here all winter. He's won his last 2 races very impressively, but has done so against much weaker competition than he's going to be facing in this Wood Memorial. So it's a real test for him against some higher level horses, but he does have good tactical speed, so he figures to be forward from that inside post position.
The 3, Tiger 24, is a big long shot in here, who won his first race 2 weeks ago at a flat mile, and that was enough for them to send this homebred up to New York for a chance at the Glory. Can you make a case for him in here?
Just stepping up against much tougher horses here, having just won his first race last time out. He's a little tough for me to make a case for.
Yeah, I mean, I respect wanting to give your homebred a shot at the big times, but this is a very difficult place to step into. The 4, my Matoli is going to be at 20-1, and after moving up in class, he ran an even 4th in the Grade 3 Gotham, and looks to be maybe improving off of that performance. They're going to have the blinkers go on for this Kentucky bred, who is not Triple Crown nominated. So that is another component to these races. You can make the decision in January if you think your horse is potentially going to be running on the Triple Crown and pay $600 to nominate them to run in these big races. And then if you're kind of late on the scene where they start doing well, you can nominate them up until next week for, I think, $6,000. Is that right, David?
I believe that's right. And this horse, a pretty modest auction purchase, and he's been an overachiever so far, finishing 4th in the Gotham, which is the prep that leads into this Wood Memorial. Just wonder if that was his ceiling, because now he's stepping up against even tougher, going a longer distance, so he's going to have his work cut out for him.
The number 5, Sand Devil, at 8-1 or plus 800, has been the odds-on favorite in 3 of his 4 career starts, but disappointingly finished second last out in the Gotham, losing a bit of steam at the end of the race with a little bit of a stumble after the start. But he's got 25 points in the bag on the Derby leaderboard, much like Rodriguez and Captain Cook. So hitting the board here could ensure him that spot he needs. The biggest concern for me is distance.
Yeah, he was kind of the hot horse coming into that Gotham, the prep for this race, and he was a little disappointing, as you said, fading to finish second in there, but he had run fast coming in there, albeit against horses that are bred in New York. Restricted races are those that he was competing in before the Gotham, so he's got to prove himself against company like this, but he could be a much better price here than he was last time.
Definitely. The 6 Hill Road at plus 450 has had an interesting career, ran in Ireland, and then was thrust into some of the most toughest spots available. And embrace them well. He ran a really tough race in Ireland and then also Breeders' Cup Juvenile. So the first time on the track this year for new trainer Chad Brown last month was in the Tampa Bay Derby, where he got third place. What are your thoughts on Hill Road?
Yeah, you've got to respect anything that Chad Brown is sending out in one of these Derby prep races, especially getting this close to the Run for the Roses. And this horse has competed well against some really tough company in the championship race last year, the Breeders' Cup. He was third behind the horse that was crowned champion, Citizen Bull. He's going to hope that there's a lot of pace up front, that they're really moving in the early part of this race, because he wants to be making that last move to try to pass them all at the end. Not easy to do in a 12-horse field, but he does have talent.
He does have talent. The 7 also has talent. Grande at 5-1. This horse really has done nothing wrong in 2 career starts, winning back-to-back routes at Gulfstream Park from just off the pace. I think the consistency of those performances is backed up by some consistent workouts heading into this Derby prep. He's had continued improvement, and he's going to have a strong pace to sit off of. So I like Grande in here. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think he's got a big chance. He's another horse that is getting tested against much tougher competition than he's faced so far. But like you, I really like what I've seen in his first couple of starts. And he strikes me as a horse that is going to love this distance, a mile and an eighth. That's going to be a real test of stamina for a lot of these horses. And he feels like the kind that's going to just get going when they get into the stretch of this race.
The 8 Passion Rules, another long shot, who has a perfect 3-for-3 record. They're bringing this horse to New York for trainer Brad Cox, who rarely sends horses to Aqueduct. I think just 3 starts in the last year. So this horse has gone long distance in all 3 of those career starts and conquered surfaces at Fairgrounds and Oaklawn Park. So interesting setting him up here. Do you like him?
It's kind of funny. Brad Cox has a lot of expensive horses. This is not one of those, only purchased at auction for $40,000, and definitely not considered one of the top runners that was pointing towards the Kentucky Derby from this barn. But like you said, he's won all 3 races, has done everything right so far. He's going to appreciate any pace that develops up front because he is a late closer. I just feel like this is such a big step up in class for him. He might have his work cut out for him.
We've got a bunch of long shots on the outside of this field, starting with the 9 Bear Claw Necklace, I think plus 5,000 for Saffie Joseph Jr., who's shipping this speedy sprinter up to Gulfstream Park. Can you make a case for him?
Well, Saffie Joseph did win this race with a 50-1 shot in Lord Miles a couple of years ago, so that fits the pattern of this horse, but he still would have to improve a lot to beat a field like this.
The 10 McAfee is the 5th place finisher from the Gotham, who's sticking around to try his hand at this spot. I think this is probably going to be too tough a spot for him.
He's the half-brother to one of the stars of the sport, Torpedo Anna, last year's Horse of the Year and Breeders' Cup winner. But as you said, he's going to have to run a lot better than he has in prior starts to beat a field of this quality.
The 11 Statesman is a Kentucky bred who debuted as a 2-year-old at Saratoga with little success, but now coming back to New York after 2 race winning streak at Tampa Bay Downs. Last out, he closed from the back of a tight field to win by over a length. This will be his first time ever riding an Aqueduct, though, so it's a little bit of a negative, but he's coming off of a hot streak.
I think this horse is the interesting long shot in the race. I've got him listed at plus 1,500 on the morning line, and he's going out for a barn. Trainer Shug McGahee, who does get horses to make those gradual improvements. And I thought he was so impressive winning that allowance race at Tampa Bay Downs last time. So I think he might be sitting on another top effort here.
Rounding out the field is Omaha, who's following up on a 3rd place finish in the Virginia Derby. Has 26 points on the Derby leaderboard, which is the most out of anybody so far, but he's been beaten by quite a few lengths recently. So I think this is a tough place.
Yeah, he's that plodding type who's going to be running on at the end, just not sure he's going to be running fast enough to get into the frame to win the race.
Let's take a look at our selections in here. David, who do you have on top?
I put the 7 Grande on top. I think of the shorter prices, he's the one that I want, and my long shot is the number 11 Statesman. I've got him in second.
All right, I've got the one who got away on top, Captain Cook. So thanks for previewing this race with us, David. When we come back, we're going to look at the Santa Anita Derby.